Hi guys, welcome to the Max Wellness Podcast, where we interview athletes, industry experts and influencers about their journeys, lessons learned and tactical tips on how to maximize your wellness and smash your goals. So today we have Harry Aikines-Aryeetey, aka Harry aka Olympic sprinter, business owner, family man, full-time comedian, part-time party starter.
Wow. I don't know where to start there. Full-time comedian.
Yeah, mate, he's always laughing, always cracking jokes.
Is that an inward joke?
Not even, it's just how Harry is. Just performing somewhere. I should say full-time performer.
Yeah.
/ comedian / dancer. So Harry dances, he's a good dancer as well, you know.
I'm not surprised though, you know, when people that are talented at a sport are normally transferable skills, right?
Like, the absolute most.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? Sometimes you're like...
Should I act humble as always on the screen, just like...
Yeah, just casual.
What, me? Never.
Before we jump in, tell everyone a little bit more about you and how you kind of got into this life that you're living.
Like we're just obviously... Life is life. We're here. I'm 33 years of age. Been sprinting for a while. Obviously, it was a hobby. It's fun, but as you get older and more competitive, world youth champion, world junior champion, BBC Young Sports Personality of the Year, 2-time Olympian, global medalist, European champion, Commonwealth champion. Just
casual.
Just a couple things,
Sort of, all things come about it, but I think. I think for me, my journey's more so been about just enjoyment and happiness. So when you find happiness in things that you do, you just keep with it, stay with people that you enjoy being around. It gets you in places and gets you in positions where you're able to sort of transcend the norm and enjoy where you are.
That's what it's about, man, at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, exactly. And your journey's been a bit mad because obviously I've known you for quite a while. You've been absolutely killing it, obviously, on the sprinting scene. As I said, you started your own business off of this. If anyone's got Harry on Instagram, you'll see the powerlifting, and that is absolute matters.
Listen, I ain't gonna lie. When I first saw a photo of you, I was like, "That guy's a bodybuilder. He ain't a sprinter."
No, understand. Harry has been hench from day. He's just powered by Jollof and Banku. He's just from day.
You're like Omar, isn't it? Like we've got a couple of black friends. You're like, you don't even go gym and you're already hench. That's just annoying.
100%.
That's just annoying.
Does anyone ever come to you and think you're on steroids or anything?
Oh, you know this 100%. So
I'll bet.
A backstory. Hannah's known me since I was 13. She actually dumped me,
No. All right, so it's all coming out now.
Yeah.
No.
She dumped me for one of my mates. So yeah,
He's
I'm joking. We're literally 13, so it's all good bands. You know them ones where you're just trying to figure out if you actually like someone or not. And she was like, "Yeah, nah, this guy's better. He dances better than you." But yeah, so Hannah's actually known me for a long time, and yeah, she's seen me go ups and downs from the days of raving in Oceania every Wednesday.
He was also in Oceania days.
Yeah,
was I probably there at the same time?
Possibly, yeah.
Because that's where we hang. Oh my god, small world.
6 degrees of separation and that.
Crazy.
Oceania.
What's the one around the
Liquid
corner?
in Sutton. Yeah, Harry was at all of them.
Kinetic.
Oh my god.
I was there. She was teaching me how to dance half the time. I just following the skank, following the moves. She would have it on point. So when she's talking about me as an individual, she's got a lot of information in regards to where I'm at and where I've come from. So when she says that I am powered by Jollof, it's pretty much the case. I only really started lifting when I was probably about 20. But obviously through that journey, even from 13 to 20, I mentioned some things where I would win. I was world youth champion, world junior champion, double world, whatever, doing all these things. But then all of a sudden I'd be hit with like a stress fracture in my back, double pars where I was in like a back brace for like a year. But through those moments, you have ups, you have downs, and you just sort of keep pushing, keep driving, stay happy, find some form of enjoyment through it. I obviously went to Oceania and raved during that moment in time. But that's pretty much how you can go about getting to certain places in that perspective.
How was you introduced to sprinting?
It's a mad one, really, because we all have sports days and we all know we're fast. We all know that.
Or we know we're slow.
We don't all know we're fast.
I love the way you said that casually. We all know we're fast. No.
Harry knew he was fast.
That's just you, yeah. That's just you, bro.
So from my perspective, I just didn't know what to do with it. I was actually playing a game of British Bulldog. Got chased by a dog, and luckily enough, someone nearby just gave me some form of idea and perspective on where to go on it. So he said there's a coach at Sutton Arena.
Really? That's a real story. They saw you running.
Yeah.
And they were like...
Being chased by a dog.
Being chased by a dog. They're like, that guy's got talent.
And I think I can vouch. I don't know if you remember the story, Hannah, when we got chased on the track by the dog. I don't know if you're around that. Yeah, there's the amount that we were praying. I hate to use that word, but we were so terrified of dogs.
Brought back that word.
I don't know why. But if one of us ran, we all ran together. If we saw a dog, we ran together.
But when you were younger, that was a thing, innit? If one of the boys ran or the girl just ran,
you don't ask questions.
You ain't asking. You run first, and then
I've done that so many times. We actually did that as a joke.
We actually used to do that walking home from training. Sometimes we would actually often run away, and someone would just run with that person individually, and that would just be the case. It was actually quite funny back then.
Stampede.
That's good training without even realizing.
Yeah.
So literally chased by a dog, and you were like, you know what? Olympic runner.
Well, not even Olympic runner. Do you know what it is? I was quite thankful for the sport that I do. I'm not going to lie, football's my true love. I absolutely passionately love football to the 10th degree. I think more so because of the status it has. Obviously, imagine perform in front of 60,000 people or so. That might happen a few times a year, whereas to do that week in, week out, that is something that really, really appeals to me. The tempo of the game, the longevity of the game, whatever. But I don't know how to describe it. It's one of those things where it's like when you're in a position of just enjoyment. I was doing the sport just for fun. I was literally just going there on a Tuesday and Thursday just because it was something to do. And I was finding life skills about myself. I was developing friendships. I was developing characteristics about myself that I wasn't fully aware of. I was pushing boundaries. And I think that's what sport can do for individuals as well as any form of hobby. It allows you to understand who you are, it allows you to understand who you can be, and it puts you in a perspective of challenges that come in different ways that you can allow yourself to learn from. And I think that's pretty much what it was. I was literally turning up 6:30. I'd watch my Dragon Ball Z from 5 till 6. Then I'd walk up to the track and I'd meet up with my friends. We'd knock for each other on the way. We'd be laughing about what we just did and then about what we just watched. Then we turn up to the track and, like you said, we're training, we're pushing ourselves, but there's girls there, boys there. You're learning how to interact with the opposite sex. You're learning how to deal with, disappointment if you had a bad session, or nothing kind of came at you in a type of way where it just wasn't normal. It's just normal life, but it's in a different environment where you're actually physically training your body to be superhuman.
Yeah, that's crazy. By the way, for everyone listening who's young, back in the day, there's a thing called knocking for your friends. Before technology,
you would just pray that they were in.
Yeah, you just hoped that they were in the house.
You called first. I'm going to be there in 10 minutes.
Called landline.
After 6 o'clock, because it was free. Parents would not let you call before 6 o'clock.
No.
It hit 59 minutes, you'd have to call back.
And sometimes they're just not there. So I just wanted to fill everyone in for that little bit.
Well, that's the truth, though. When you actually think about it, if it was a hot summer's day and a nice day, I used to jump on my bike. And like you said, Hannah, I'd go, all right, I'm going to go to this person's house and hope they were in. If they weren't in, then you'd go, all right, I'm going to go to the park. So you could spend an hour or two searching for people to play with.
And this is how Harry got so fit.
That's probably true, yeah. It's so, when's that transition though, when you go from hobby, fun, friends to, you know what, this could be a career or something I can do for a living?
I would definitely say probably when I got to around 16, 17. So by that point, I'd always been special in the perspective of the times that I was running for my age. I'd get beat by people, and that's the thing. I was never fazed by being beaten because I was actually part of a very good generation growing up. But once someone beat me, I'd always come back for them later on, if that made sense. So like once I developed a little bit more, I would then sort of come back and improve from that perspective. I think when I was 14, I became like the fastest 14-year-old of all time in Europe at my age. So I think I ran like 10.8 or something like that. But I still finished third in the English schools because it was an under 17 category. 15, I was like my age group champion the following year. And then it was 16 going to the World Youths. And I remember that final sort of stuck with me throughout my career in a certain sense, because there was a dude who was hands down better than me. He'd beat me about 3-4 times that season, but we were in Morocco. He's mixed race from Stoke. He hadn't really been out to the plains of Africa me, West African, been out there not too long ago, can deal with the heat. And he ran a time in the semi-final that smashed me. Like, I didn't race him, but it disappointed me. But he came over to me before the final, which was the next day. He's put his hand out to me and said, "May the best man win." And that to me, I just saw like weakness in that. I just saw like an opportunity, because you know you're the best man, so you're not sure in yourself. So then I said to myself, yeah, I'm here for a reason. I'm here to do the best that I can do, not just finish second. And it was just sort of like that promise of, I can be a world champion right now. Like, I'm just going to give it my all. And I won. And then I went on to win the 200, and I was the first person to do the double, which then sort of put me in a different realm, if that made sense. So like I said, BBC and Sports Person of the Year. I was sponsored by Nike at the time.
I was so jealous of that.
Sort of.
You just get stuff just turn up at his house.
I mean, this is the same. To be fair, I did my dues. I used to run in spikes. I used to run in spikes with holes in. I used to run with shorts with holes in. I used to wear a pair of dunks that I used to race in. Like, I did everything in these dunks. I've still got them. They're curl up.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet they're proper curl up from when you're crouching down,
Yeah,
isn't
but
it?
my parents bought me them from the market. So like these were like my everything. I used to go to parties in them. So when Nike came along and they and I got sponsored, I feel sorry for the guy that I was messaging for kit all the time, boy.
You rinsed him.
Yeah.
But going back to when you first started training, because obviously you had an incredible coach, and that was Les.
Yeah.
And you started with him from young, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you guys had an incredible relationship with him. I say you guys, all the guys that are running.
Yeah.
How do you think that helped shape, especially the beginning of your running sort of journey? Just having that influence.
I think it's massive. It's massive in regards to having that sort of role model figure. I've been quite fortunate to have a few coaches who have had some form of family orientated relationship with. So Les was like a granddad. You know, he cared about you in a certain perspective. He would do more for you than most people. He would help you see what it is that you can improve on. And he also didn't take any shit.
At all. He used to say, yeah, look, you lot. I could hear him from a mile
especially
off.
with the boys at that age in the ends, you got to be tough.
He was always like, stop looking at the girls.
Oh, I bet you have got to have a strong yeah. I can imagine.
It was good. Like I said, for me, my progression through track and sport, that sort of level of education is your primary school. It's you're learning, but you don't know you're learning. Like I said, you go to learn the same way they're teaching you 1, 2, 3, and this is red and this is square, and you put this in the square. Like, that is your primary school education. That was that coach. I then went on to Matt Favier, who I started to win things with, and I started to go through my high school education with, and, you know, dealing with battles of having West African parents and someone to talk to about that, or having feelings for someone and talking about that, and learning how to balance and split your time as you would do as you start to choose your subjects and the direction that you want to go in. That's where I was with Matt, and Matt's like, you know, a proper father figure to me. Les obviously passed away, which was quite detrimental for a lot of us, but I sort of used his legacy to push forward, whereas for some individuals it's a bit tougher than that in that perspective. And then I went to Loughborough, where I was trained by Michael Kamel. And again, I would say that was similar to your uni, sort of, you've got to turn up when you turn up. You've got to do your extra reading, and you've got to do your extra bit of, you know, I'd go home, you'd have to do your own bit of stretching, you'd have to facilitate your own sort of mindset around being great, because no one can be great for you. If you're late, the session will continue without you. No one's waiting for you. And then in regards to doing your masters, you're sort of taking care of it yourself. And that's where I've been for the last few years, where I can train remotely. I've got a bit more of a relationship with my coach, less contact a week, because I'm able to look after myself and get through sessions in the capacity that I need to, and touch base when, you know, I really, really need their help, or just touching base every so often. So that's the sort of way that I would structure it. And that's the way that I would think that the progression is necessary for a young athlete, to have that primary school education where you don't realize you're getting work done, but you are. And that high schooling education at the same time, where you're dealing with how to grow through your, you know, you're going to be a man, you're coming up against things that you're not totally aware of in the perspective and the true reflection of what sport is, but you're just enjoying it still.
Yeah.
And how did you stay motivated throughout? How did you stay motivated throughout the time? Because I know with you, obviously, you're hella driven when it comes to your running, but you're also an incredible family man when it comes to your parents, your sisters. Obviously, you have your own family now, friendships. You still manage to stay social. You were still like a great energy for everyone. How did you manage? Because to me, when we talk about well-being, that is overall, I'd say, good well-being. So how did you manage to just sustain that I'd say what is a really, really good balance throughout the entire time?
Do you know what? I think it's the foundations of it. It's something that I have learned from my family, because my parents are social, but they're very hardworking. Like, my biggest role models to me are my parents, for individuals that have come over from West Africa and Ghana and had to redo their life again, as well as raising kids and still doing it with a smile on their face. You know, I always think that there's always a reason to smile in each day. So I'll always make time for the people that I care about, and I always make time for people, whether it doesn't matter if you can't see them all the time. Sometimes, you know, just thinking of them, well wishing them, and when you do get to eventually see them, you give them that energy and that love that, you know, that you give when you see them. I mean, I hadn't seen you for a little while. I saw you the other day straight away. Do you know what I mean? It's just like I hadn't seen you just like the other day, just like I saw you the other day. So I think sometimes we can complicate things, and you don't necessarily want to be that black hole that sucks people in with negativity. And I'm not saying that you always have to be positive, but you've just got to be true to yourself. Ask yourself, have you smiled enough at the end of the day? If you haven't done anything to make yourself smile, then go have a crunchy, go have a pack of Haribo, go play FIFA, go do something that's going to make you smile, because every day is just about that. Every day should be enjoyed, every day should be lived. So I think even going through life as an athlete, like when I moved up to Loughborough, one of my coaches, Michael, was a bit Russian, so he didn't actually let me go home often. That affected me.
That is the best sentence ever.
He's a bit Russian.
He's a bit, and you know what's funny? We both knew what he meant. And I didn't even have to ask, what do you mean by that? It's like, okay, cool, carry on.
You got images of those Russian coaches.
Yeah. You know, as soon as you said that, I thought of the Russian Olympic gymnasts.
Yeah, exactly.
Just doing
wearing the shell tracksuits.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, anyway, carry on. But I love it the way you put that. A bit Russian.
So, you know, when you're talking about balance, I wasn't able to go home and do those sort of things. But what I would do is, when I got a chance and I had a week off or I had a light week, I'd go boom, straight down. Like, I've got some great photos of having a week off from us in Kinetic, mate. Like, literally, like, I've got the album called, like, I think way back in 2010, I've got an album called Harry's Week Off. You feature in there a lot, Hannah.
Oh, Lord.
That says something, doesn't it? That says something.
Wait, I'm just trying to do the maths. How old I've been? 23?
No, we would have been a bit. Yeah, no. 21-ish.
Oh, Lord.
You were out, though. You were out.
All right, calm down.
And I was like, how come I go out once?
You were so bait.
No, but I went out. No, I went out like once every few months, but you were always there. So that means that you're always out.
I was literally out 6 days a week. I don't know how I didn't die.
Practice your dancing, no?
Yeah, but like, there's going out, but then there's Hannah's going out.
I was literally, I was 6 days a week. I was colleging, 2 dance groups. I don't know how I didn't die.
Uni nights, like the university.
I used to drink. Yeah, I used to drink on Sunday. Honestly, I'm surprised. My mum was worried.
Yeah.
I used to think if you drank different energy drinks that they would, because I was stupid at the time. I didn't understand how nutrition worked. So I was like, cool, if I have a Monster, then I have like a Sainsbury's Bolt, and then I have that, I won't get used to the caffeine. Idiot.
The funny thing about you as well, you even like you look young now, but then you looked like 14-year-old girl in the club.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Like, it was like, how did you get in here? Does your daddy know you're here?
Oh, shut up.
That's how young you look.
So yeah, I don't want to know how I featured in this album, but as you were.
Yeah. What
Harry's Week Off.
Yeah. One of the cool things, and you kind of touched upon a little bit, is those lessons that you learn without knowing that you're learning. So I grew up playing ice hockey at a high level, obviously dancing, many sports. I was obsessed with sports. And what I realized later on is so much of what you learn, you know, for example, winning and losing, you know, not many kids face adversity and know what it's like to lose. That's important, right? Losing and understanding how to process that, become better, or, you know, being coachable, the massive skill as well, understanding that you're going to be crap at this thing when you first start it, but there's this process you go through of getting better, and that's transferable to any sport or even to business. So when I got into sales, all the people around me were so stressed out about when they failed. And I was like, dude, of course you're going to fail. Of course you're going to get a no. It's about, embracing that, learning and moving on from it, and not letting it attach to you emotionally, which is where little people they end up quitting sports or quitting jobs because they become emotionally attached to that failure or that loss. Instead of understanding it's a learning moment, you go along the way, and the resilience that comes with that as well. So I was like, every time I heard a no from a customer, I was like, cool, I'm one step closer to my next yes. And understanding that's, and again, I didn't know I learned that.
Yeah.
And again, as soon as I joined a company, I was like, who's the best here? Who can teach me how to be the best salesperson? And I did that in sports. Who's the best ice hockey player? Who's the best dancer? And I was associating myself with those people. So there's so many hidden lessons, like you mentioned, that you learn by being an athlete that are transferable to the rest of your life as a husband, as a friend, in all these elements, which fascinates me and continues to fascinate me. And no surprise that you went on to be a successful businessman, because in order to be an entrepreneur and a successful businessman, it's tough and times are going to be bad. There's a ton of learning that needs to happen along the way. You have to be constantly have a learner mindset. So yeah, I just want to touch upon that. That really stood out to me.
On that note, how do you still find joy in what you do? Because obviously we speak about dancing and we stepped away because hobby becoming a job, not as enjoyable. How do you still find joy and enthusiasm in what you do?
Yeah, it's tough. I'll touch on what you just mentioned earlier about how the young generation now, for example, I've got a nephew. He's turning 10. I love him to bits, obviously. He plays football. When they play football, no one wins or loses. He goes to school, no one wins or loses. He now plays games with us where you may have to exit the game if you lose. Or he played a football match for the first time the other day and his team lost. He was in tears. He can't handle not winning because he hasn't been taught to lose. And something that you're talking about in that perspective is so important. You need to know how to go through that process of failure. For me, once I've tasted some form of success, is addictive. And I don't mind losing because I know what it's like to win. So when you do have that loss in your backbone or it's sat in the back of your head, you just sort of stick with it and drive through it and go, you know what? More to come. I know what it's like to win. I'm going to keep persevering. But when it comes to work, I think you go through stages in life. So I bought a house quite young when I was 19, was able to do such, I was all right. But then obviously you start thinking, I've got a mortgage to pay. I've got this to do. I've got that to do. So you do start thinking about, performances and rewards around that, rather than just what it meant to you just to be the best or to do well or to have those types of achievements. It is like this. I'm never going to say it's up and down. It's never going to say it's been a straight shot, because you do put pressure on yourself. There might be times where you're injured and then you're like, I've got to get back because I've got to race, because I need to get on the circuit to get some P, to do this, to do that. And sometimes that's when it's not right. I'm going to sit there and so I'm injured now. I had surgery. I had quite a substantial injury to my hamstring, longitudinal tear of the biceps tendon in March at the European Indoors representing Great Britain. I've done that before back in 2010 where I snapped a tendon, and I wanted to rush back and I wanted to get back because I didn't want to miss out on anything. I was thinking about contracts, I was thinking about where else, and everything worked out fine. Whereas this time around, I was chill. I knew that I was going to miss out on the Olympics, which was a big decision for me to make. But and I've also decided that I didn't need to get to a point just to race at the end of the season for racing's sake. But you've got to make these decisions, because obviously if you can allow certain parts of yourself, and I don't know, maybe in the back of my head, I sort of made a point of saying that I would never be in that position again. So fundamentally, like financially, I've got certain things taken care of aside from track, so that I can, I've built a brand away from track, so that if I can enjoy track more without those types of pressures. And I think those are just, like you say, you're learning things without recognizing that fact, and you're building, options around yourself as well as moving forward. And I think the youngsters nowadays, because the marketing game has changed, how you market yourself. Before it used to be, are you marketable? A brand would look at you and say, I will take you and put you on a platform, and people will look at you, but you'll also be projected and seen by others that we may not be able to procure because you've got a little bit different, you know, you're clean, you're cut, but you've got a little bit of energy about you that can get other people into our brand and into our clothing or into our, you know, supplement brand or whatever else. Whereas now people will straight up just be like, what can you offer us? What are you bringing to us? And you've got to show that, unfortunately, via social media now. This is what the game is. So if you're not able to put yourself in a place to show your energy, to show your perspective, and it doesn't matter if you're awkward, it doesn't matter if you're not high energy, doesn't matter if you're positive or negative. There's going to be millions of people out there that can relate to you. So ultimately, it's just about projecting that, showing what you're about, and then there's going to be an opportunity for you to monetize that.
I think you've cracked the social media realm quite well. Like, you've got a good personality. You're happy talking to the camera. Obviously, you've got your endorsements and your sponsorships. And then,
you've known me from young. So I've always had a camera. Do you know what I mean? I've always been happy to perform, as you say. You know, when a camera comes out, I train harder. And I know that about myself. You can try and say that's a negative, but boy, if there's people watching me, I'm going to try harder and perform better. I'd run harder. I'd lift fast. I'd run faster. I'd lift harder. It's just a characteristics. And this is something I'm telling people out there, just understand who you are and work with that. There's no point in saying, oh, I like a camera, so therefore I've got to learn to train without one. Well, no, when you're training, pull out a camera, put a live on it. Do you know what I mean? You can, you know, get some content around it whilst you're training, have people watch you and you'll step up. So you're going to get a better quality session as well as creating something in that process. I just think about maximizing opportunities in that realm of time that we have, because as they all say, Beyonce has the same 24 hours and whatever else. I think there's certain platforms that are better for me. You know, there was Twitter, for example. Twitter's not for me. I'm not analytical. My English ain't too great. I don't think I'm that witty in terms of my typing and timing. Instagram speaks to me. The stories speak to me because I'm able to do that and understand your strengths, understand what and how you're able to talk to individuals. TikTok, I wish I was younger because I'd have friends in my circle that would want to be doing TikToks with me. I'm 33 and no one wants to do a TikTok with me. So I've got to learn ways around that. So what I will put on TikTok, for example, are feats of some form of athleticism that people can really get into. So if no one wants to dance with me, let me do something else. So you find ways around things, you know, in that particular set. And you've got to, it goes back to what we were talking about with failure. You've got to, me and my family, we don't care. You can laugh at me. I was dressed up. I've got 3 sisters. They put me in dresses. They put makeup on me. Like, I'm happy to take the piss out of myself. And if you want to take the piss out of me, I know who I am as an individual and I know what I have. And I know that I am very special and unique. So there's nothing you can do to upset me. And if you kind of wear that on your chest, what you put out doesn't matter. I choose to put out what I want to put out. But I'm aware that brands are watching. I'm aware that individuals are watching, and there's different ways that you can think about how to monetize it, because if you can curate a following, that's just one entity in itself. By having a following, people will be interested in you. That's in itself. I'm an athlete who performs. People are interested in what I do, how I do it, and why. Because of that, I can then show them who I am as an individual, why I do what I do, and it's educating, which is good for my sport, it's good for me. But then you can also monetize it in the perspective of offering those individuals something if they want some form of coaching in that avenue, or because you have a following, there's opportunities where people will come to you for promotional type things, but you have to show a different side of yourself. You know, I'm out there doing Quaker Oats, baking and stuff, but they wouldn't know I baked if I didn't show it. So there's so many different ways that you can manipulate circumstances you're in, but it takes time and it takes willingness and it takes thick skin, but ultimately you just got to allow yourself to be happy whilst you do it and just, you know, smile through it.
If Celebrity British Bake Off came to you, are you going on it?
Do you know what? I would, and I'd fail miserably because I only like to bake what I like to bake. I like chocolate, enough. I like honey, I like sweet things. So if you came to me and said, we got to do a cheesecake, could I tell you what a good cheesecake should taste like?
Same.
No.
I want to go back to a few of the points you made there, though, because you made so many good points.
Oh, sorry, I was rambling a bit there.
But it wasn't rambling at all. It was magic.
It was a good point. There was a lot of good points. I think one of the points you highlighted, which I wish I knew earlier on in dance, is it's no longer enough just to be a great athlete. there's also, you have to build a personal brand. And that's a massive part of it, right? And the fact that you've understood that by building this personal brand, you can generate another revenue stream outside of the sport, which alleviates the stress so you can have fun, right? And I think that's massive. You can have fun, focus on your running, and understand that financially you're okay over here, because many athletes, they get so stressed out by that, it affects their sport, their run, their personality, their mood, right? And the anxiety that comes with that. So that's great that you found that. So I think that's really good advice for everyone listening. I wish I had that, because for me, when dance became my job, I immediately lost a love for it. Because dance was my escape from stress, from the violence at home, from the crazy shit that I saw growing up where I lived. So as soon as it became, this is how Chris makes money, I was out. I was gone. Whereas if I understood the value of creating a personal brand and then creating a revenue stream outside of it, I would have carried on enjoying dance, and I probably would have still been doing it. So I think that point that you made is very, very important for everyone listening to be able to do that. And the earlier you start, the better. I think go on.
I would say that, like, literally, when you look at what, in terms of athletes, we have coaches, for example, that are from a generation that their coaches would have told them that they're not allowed to do something with some form of advancement of technology. So let's just say, for example, Linford Christie's era, they would have been listening to music with headphones and stuff. Now their coaches would have been like, get that rubbish out your ear. Now our generation was, don't have phones on you. You're not allowed to film. I wish that I filmed more of my training and I've been to like 45 different countries in the world.
Imagine if you vlogged all of that.
Exactly. I wish that I vlogged it. I used to post random little clips like we would do on our stories now on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I see that some of them just through time got like a few 100,000 views. And I was like, oh, people are actually interested. And just to touch on what you're saying, it's like the people that you're with, the audience would, like, you know, we watch Love Island, for example, and this is when things click for me. Like, you watch Love Island, you see your Chris and Kem. People love to see how the story, what happens after that little bromance. People see Wes Nelson, they see Josh, they see those guys together, and they're always just following them about because they want to know the bromance, what's happening. Now, imagine you guys when you were dancing, if you were to able to get that energy across of you and your friends doing what you're doing, because I'm pretty sure that through a certain time that all I was watching was dance videos on YouTube. I'm just watching people, you know, whether it be Les Twins or whoever else, or, you know, that studio in America, everyone's doing the hill stuff. Like, things have just obviously saturated now, which is hard to stand out because now you've got to do more. But had you started when you started, it's the same process. I'm a New Balance athlete now, and you want to add value to them, obviously. And I remember someone showing me, they'd have meetings of us on a board, monthly meetings, looking at our figures and our socials. And it didn't matter. And what meant a lot to me was that it didn't matter. I was top for one section around my engagement. There's people there that had more followers than me, but my engagement was higher. And that's something that they were tuning into. So it wasn't just the fact that I had someone had a lot of followers. It's the fact of how they're engaging with you, which gave me confidence to say that, all right, I'm doing the right thing. Continue doing what you're doing. And, you know, that was celebrated. So what we don't do enough, we're very British. We don't celebrate ourselves. We're not allowed. We're humble, and it's cool to be humble, but there's always a but. So you win a race in the UK, but it was a slow time. You run a PB, but you finish second. You're at the Olympics, but you're not going to make the final. Like, there's always a but, when actually we never sit there and go, you know what? I'm here at the Olympics. This is amazing. I just ran a PB. This is amazing. We always feel like we've got to act too cool. Otherwise we get put in our place. You go to America now, those guys celebrate everything. You know what I mean?
They're like, extreme with it, aren't they?
First throw up, woo, fuck yeah, let's fucking go. Do you know what I mean? Like, they celebrate things to the absolute max. And that's what I'm talking about, that level of enjoyment. When that stress came for you, that was like, damn, what do I do now? Like, how do I find the fun again? That's where you take a step back and celebrate. You can spin it and you go, you know what? Who would have thought I'm going to make money from doing what I'm doing? I'm lucky. This is great, because there's people out there that are working, doing things they're not doing, but there's no one there to guide us in that capacity. If you had that guidance, if you had that mental flip and that PMA around it, that would have given you an opportunity to then go, you know what? The stress is the stress. We'll deal with it for now. And then you would have opened up your own dance school off the back of it, because people would have been watching you dancing on socials. You could then offer that to people in a different capacity, in different ways. There's different ways to market. And then you could then go, cool, that's earning me money. Now I can just do this for fun, or I can do this and relax a little bit. But we need sometimes to be in a circle where we can talk to everyone about these things and broaden your perspective. I've had conversations just in the last week with individuals about doing more for myself. And I was like, I didn't even think about doing that. But is that winning circle ethos, being around individuals that are always positive and got your back and don't mind speaking truth and allowing you to go, you know what, you make sense. That's helpful to me. And saying things you don't even recognize that can be helpful for others.
Yeah.
Have that circle that wants you to win.
Yeah. So you are right though, on your point. 1 second, you are right on your point though, because like everyone focuses on what they don't have and what they haven't achieved. We don't take a second to have that attitude of gratitude. And I've been trying to do that more in the mornings now, just waking up being like, what am I grateful for today? You know, this house, my wife, my beautiful 3-year-old child, you know, own my own business. Like if you told me when I was younger that at 34 years old, I would have all of this, you know, I would have been like, no way. Yet there are still days where I'm like, I don't have this didn't happen. It's so easy. And society promotes that, unfortunately. Social media promotes that. You ain't people ain't posting on TikTok or Instagram that I failed today.
No.
no one's posted on there. Everyone has this shiny, glossy, false reality. And it forces people, like you're saying, to, when they do have those moments of doubt, they think that they're like, that's not normal, where it's okay not to be okay. Right, and Jesse it's okay to have a bad day. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a great point. Is that a Jesse J thing? Is it? I didn't even know that.
I'm still gassed about the attitude of, what did you say?
Attitude of gratitude. I stole
that.
That's hard.
Yeah. I stole that as well from someone. I don't know who I stole it from.
It's a gift that keeps on giving. It's fine.
But it's so important. Like, and also it's there's a lot of science behind it. Like, if your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a real reality or you thinking it, right? So if you think about those positive moments, or like you're talking about thinking of winning, right? So when I played ice hockey, you would visualize scoring a goal. And I'm sure you probably do visualization about crossing that line, right? Winning that race. Your brain has no idea the difference between reality or you thinking it. And so if you're constantly thinking of the negative and projecting those images in your mind, that becomes your reality. So that's even more important.
And it's good to visualize, because they say that fear and excitement sets off the same chemical reaction in your body.
Yeah.
So it's just about switching that visualization. So when you're feeling that fear, switch it, visualize, create that excitement, and it will usually give you a little bit more gas in the tank.
Yeah, it's the same feeling of when you feel like I've suffered from anxiety. I sometimes have panic attacks, not in the last many years, thankfully, but that adrenaline that you feel, right? It's the same adrenaline I would feel in a positive context after I've won a game or performed on stage or but it's also the same exact feeling, like you're saying, that you get when you feel really anxious and panicky. It's your body protective mechanism in your body, right?
It's the fight or flight.
It's getting ready. Like, run! There's a tiger chasing you. Better run.
There's a dog chasing you. You better run.
Yeah, you better run. Yeah, then you become an Olympian along the way.
So off of your running, obviously you've created an incredible brand online for yourself. You've also created Train Like Harry AA, which is, I'm assuming, has come off the fact that obviously you're sick at powerlifting. Did that come off that? Was that a natural progression?
I think there's always been an opportunity to, I think that the term athleticism, and, you know, within every sport, if you can be a little bit more athletic, you're going to have the edge on that person, or your other teammates, or who's going to put you in a better position. The way that I train enables me to just cross over. If I play football, I've got characteristics that
you're too hench for
make
football,
me, you know, a very good footballer.
You're too hench for football, bro.
Yeah, you see, I was all right back in the day, you know.
You're too
County Cup finalist over here, scored the winning goal in the semi to get us through. I was all right. I just needed my asthma pump every so often.
Yeah, me too, bro. I had the asthma pump ready.
Yeah, so there's characteristics that, you know, I can jump high. Obviously, I'm strong. Balance is going to be on point. So there's multiple ways to skin a cat, which you don't want to skin a cat, but that's the term. So in terms of having individuals ask me just how to train and how I do things, I'm able to just give them advice and tell them how I go about my business and the way that I go about it. So from that, I think it's been quite good to finally be in a position to offer that service, and people have touched base, and multi-sport athletes, because they want to be faster, they want to be able to jump higher, and obviously they might want to build some muscle at the same time, because I don't actually do, or I've never trained as most people would do in terms of muscle groups. I train athletically for my sport. I don't train in a perspective or some form of hypertrophy. My rep ranges have never been above 5, really. I might do 10s in the winter, and that's about it. But I would never train to gain muscle. I'm an upper body program or whatever else. I can help you with one if you want, but I've never been that way. So when people look at me, they do want to sort of either look like me, train like me, run like me, or be athletic like me. So I want to be able to offer that to people. And also just the individuals that haven't had, you know, when some people are trying to train one type of way, there's a different way, and exposing themselves to that has been helpful. And it's not been a long process, but I've really been enjoying giving back, seeing, you know, some rewards from that. And yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
And also further from that, a massive transition for you is a year ago, literally Aubrey's birthday was the other day. Yeah. You have become a dad.
Yeah.
Husband, dad, full-time family man as well. So how is that going? And how you find that balance?
It comes with its own challenges, because straight away you start to, like, I'm very much someone who's okay to travel. I mean, I've met the Queen and I didn't make a big deal out of it.
Cash.
I met Michael Jordan. I didn't make a big deal out of it.
You met Michael Jordan?
Exactly. I haven't even told you. Like,
when?
That was, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, you do things. I get up, I travel, I go places, and like, I'm not going to say I enjoy it and it's just part of it, but I just do it. Whereas now it's being a father, like, everything's a big deal. She's the biggest deal in my life that I couldn't believe. Like I said, I've traveled. I'll be going to this place one minute, I'll go to that place, and I just say to my parents, oh yeah, I'm going to China this weekend. I'm going here, I'm going there. Whereas now it hurts to leave. And I'm quite good at traveling. Whereas now I don't really want to go anywhere. And the balance has been tough because, you know, like straight away when she was born, I filmed a TV show, Celebs on the Farm, and I was away for about 2 weeks, and she was only about, I want to say maybe like six or 8 weeks. And that was when it hit home. I was like, I really don't want to be away from her, because they are, as you would know, children, they develop. 1 minute, you know, they're not doing anything. The next minute they're rolling over. The 1 minute they're not smiling, then, you know, they're fighting because they're smiling because they got gas. Like, all of these little things you're missing out on. Yeah. I was just like, wow. And she's like my little mini project of, you know, I think the other day for her birthday, she got a toy, and I was teaching her how to put a particular ball in a hole. She'd never done it before, wasn't interested in it, just wanted to clang the balls together. And she did it all in 5 minutes. It was like one of the proudest moments of my life. And this is like someone who's run in front of nearly 100,000 people in a stadium winning a medal. And like, I'm sat there like, yes.
What do you think she's taught you? If anything?
She's taught me how to enjoy life more. Like I said, I'm relaxed as it is, and I enjoy things as is. But, you know, in just that moment, you look at them and you just love them. I don't know, maybe it's because she's a girl as well. Like, she'll just have, like, she can have whatever she wants in it.
I'm the same.
Chris knows that one.
I'm the same, yeah, little 3-year-old girl. You made an interesting point there as well, which surprised me when I became a dad, is like, for the first time in your life no longer revolves around you.
Yeah.
And every decision you make is now, that comes first, right? So that was a big thing for me. I'll get up and I'll just do, as I said, I'm going traveling and doing this. Obviously, I tell my wife and like we have a conversation, but most of the time it is what it was. Yeah. And now you like, every single decision you make in life, your first question is, you know, Robin, in my case, how's that going to affect Robin? And it takes you to a different place. And you start thinking every decision I make now, whether it's financially, work, everything, it's a massive, massive shift. And your point you made about those small moments, until you're a parent, you hear other parents say those things when you're not a parent, and you're like, oh, whatever. Like those, like what you said about putting the ball through the hole. But when you're a parent, it means so much. So much. Like literally, you get so aghast about it. You're right. And I'm like so excited. You try and explain it to your friends. Like some of my friends that don't have kids, and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, when you have a kid, you'll get it. Like you'll understand how proud something silly as like that could be.
Just the cognitive ability to take something on and apply it when you know that they're so dumb.
And it's their first time, innit? That's the thing. Like, everything Robin does for the first time, I'm gassed, because I'm like, that's the first time her doing X. That's the first time her doing this. I was actually going to start a YouTube channel, actually, of Robin's first time doing everything. And filming every, I know, that's what I'm saying. I missed it. I didn't have the time. But so like when she grows up, I'm like, here's the first time you did everything.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that'd be a cool thing. Like, first time she went bowling, first time she skated, first time, like, now she, like, when she first, like, I bought her a bike the other day for her birthday. And because I'm a try-hard dad, want my daughter to be good at everything, she's 3, but I've bought her a 5 to 7-year-old bike.
Oh, for God's sake.
So she's riding around, but she can ride it. Literally, it took her about half an hour, and she's riding around on this big ass. It weighs a lot because obviously she's small. She's riding it now. Fuck, Cash, just riding.
She is tiny.
Just riding down the road on this big ass bike, and I'm like, see, she doesn't need a small one. Yeah, that's what I was saying. But she's like, and all the little kids are on a little bike. And she's like, yeah, I've got a big girl. My wife was like, why did you buy that bike? I'm like, she's.
Mate, I think Team Sky are looking for athletes, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing, innit? Like, already now we're seeing, like, you know, Emma, was it Raducanu winning winning US Open. The New York Open, or was it US Open? I forgot.
It's US Open in New York.
Yeah, exactly. Now, like, my wife's like, yep, tennis club, sign her up. So literally in a few weeks' time, Robin will be starting at the same academy that she trained at.
Yeah, in Bromley.
In Bromley, yeah. Although there's a massive waiting list we've got to get through first, as well. But anyway, so it's interesting now. You just want, like, your kids to get on these things early because you understand the value, because you've had to learn the hard way yourself. Like, by the time Robin is old enough to get a job, she won't need a job, because we would have built a brand around something she's passionate about from now until when she's older, and she can choose. I want her to have, I think what good looks like is not being rich, but having choice.
She said, like what we said on the last part
of how you spend time. Yeah, money doesn't make you happy. It's what you can do with it, and the freedom that it can give you is what makes you happy. The fact that I can sit here and have a conversation with you right now and do this, right? This is fun for me. There's no financial pressure. We're not like in it to become millionaires. It's a fun thing. And then that will lead probably down the line to sponsors, to thing. But I understand that's the process. Like my other podcast, a whole year, 150 episodes before I made £1.
Really?
Yeah. Most people aren't going to do an entire year's work day in, day out for free, because they're not willing to grind for what it takes to get those things.
See, fair, it's personal trainer as well.
It's the same thing, right? Like you said, like how many people are on YouTube, TikTok to try and stand out in that crowd? The ones that you see, right, that you're like, how's that guy got 10 million followers? He ain't even funny. You know, everyone said that comment at some point, right? Or you see someone, you're like, how the hell do they have it? Because guess what? Whilst you're complaining, they're recording videos and they're grinding and they're putting shit out there. And guess what? Probably 8 out of the 10 videos they put aren't going to pop, but maybe those 2 will. And I think that's the difference.
Consistency is key.
Exactly. How you kind of glossed over it earlier, but how did you overcome not being able to come to going to the Olympics? Because you was like really like just casual about it, but how did you deal with that?
It was painful. I think it was worse in 2012 when I tore my hamstring.
So you missed 2 Olympics now?
Yeah. So
of
the 4 opportunities I've had to go to the Olympics, I've only been able to go to 2. 2008 was amazing. I was 19. Really enjoyed that. I was a little bit cocky in the sense of I even left half my kit in China because I was like, yeah, come next Olympics. I didn't want too much kit. They give us a lot of kit, and I was Nike and it was Adidas, and I was like, you can only wear that brand. Like, it's complicated, but you can, when you represent whoever they're representing, you can wear their stuff. So I was like, look, I'm gonna leave half this stuff, and I didn't really truly appreciate what I just done because it came so easy. 2012 came, I finished 4th at the European Champs in 100 meters, but I tore my hamstring literally at the finish line, and that was 5-6 weeks before the games, so I wasn't going to be able to go. Had I done it maybe 3 weeks earlier, then I would have been able to have gone. So that was painful, but what I chose to do with my time was I did a PT course, which obviously has come in handy through that moment in time. But that was easier because Instagram was just picking up then, so there was no stories. You were just seeing posts of where people were, and there was no videos as well, so you couldn't really tell what was happening. Obviously, it was just more so the hype that upset me because I wasn't able to be a part of it. So when I went to Rio, that was awesome. Fully absorbed everything by this point. And that Rio was sort of when I realized what I could do with socials. I think I was probably because I was private on my Insta for a long time. And then I went public for the games. I posted a video doing a peck dance to Rihanna Work. And
of course that was the first one. Of course, as you do.
That went a little bit viral because it ended up on like BuzzFeed. It went on the Daily Mail website, all of this sort of stuff. And I was like, okay. And that probably took me from about 8,000 followers to 21. And I came back from the Olympics, and I started to lose followers because obviously they're like, why am I following this guy? So I realized I had to start to produce stuff to make people want to follow. So this is like winter 2017 that I started putting out like informative. I started sharing my training, basically like 1 or 2 movements, because Instagram, the algorithm at that point, they just launched videos. So obviously they're pushing that in the algorithm. So that's when you could get stupid views like 500,000.
Yeah, it was crazy back then, isn't it? Anyone could go, yeah. Whereas
now they're like limiting you. But cut long story short, when I hurt my hamstring, it was at the Euro indoors, and I was sort of, because of COVID over the last year, so I was reigning British champ at the time because I'd done the British Championships there in 2020. I wasn't too sure if we wanted to do the 1 second, sorry.
No worries, it's life.
Yeah,
I'm used to that.
I wasn't too sure if I wanted to do
Aubrey.
the Europeans, but we thought it was a good opportunity to have competition because we've had a lack of it. I wanted to get some comps in just to feel like I was back doing what I needed to do, which was quite tough, to be fair, because you could only really race in the UK. If you tried to travel, it was tough and it was complicated. So I went to the Euros. Heat was okay, it was fine. Semi, something weird happened because the guy I was in a particular lane, and the person in my lane the heat before also hurt his hamstring. I pick up my best part of my race is like from 50 meters onwards. Whereas I started to pick up pace, and you go up a bank, and I don't know, it was just weird peripherals. And I just felt something, and I heard something go like, not snap, but like a.
It sounds like someone clapping.
Yeah, and I touched my hamstring, and your tendon, which is meant to be 1, I could feel in 2.
Ugh.
Like it was still tacked because it was long, but I'd done a split longitudinally. So I was then in that moment, I was just like, that's it, season done. That was it. I just knew in that moment, season was done. And you know, you have your tears, you have your cry, you have your upset. And then we had to make the decision. To be fair, I started to recover. I heal like Wolverine, unfortunately. Well, it's a fortunate thing to heal fast, but then equally it's not a great thing because I started to heal really quickly. And we were like, do I need surgery? You know, I was talking to like this head surgeon who did the same thing on Harry Kane. And he had looked at the scan and he was like, yeah, you need surgery because although you might be able to get away with this, because there was a bit that had come away and I could maybe have got away with it. He was like, nah, in terms of your career, you're going to need this, you know, all intact and working, functioning well. And I was like, in what I do is 100% effort. So there's no point in handicapping myself and having a 50% chance of me fully rupturing the tendon, and also just not being fast. So I was like, cool, made the decision to have the surgery. And again, I just used that opportunity. The same as like COVID, for example, when COVID hit, I couldn't train properly. So I put a gym in my garden, did something that made me happy. I couldn't compete. So I made the Influencer Games, got people involved.
That was sick, by the way.
Went viral. So I use this opportunity now to just, you know, work. Went and did a Land Rover experience. Obviously, I've got Derek. So touch base with them. I've used the opportunity.
Sorry, can you just quickly explain to everyone who Derek is?
Derek is my Defender Land Rover.
There we go.
Oh, it's a car.
Yeah, it's a car.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I was like,
he glossed over it like Derek was a person. I was like, wait a second.
It is though. To him, it is.
It's my boy.
So I think what we're taking away from what you're saying though is you found, and I think this is a common thing you said throughout this podcast, you found love in other things. So during those times, a lot of people can sit there, feel sorry for themselves, get down, whereas you're like, let me focus my energy and time and attention to something positive, which I found fulfillment in, and then use that, because otherwise you're just kind of going down a deep, dark hole.
I mean, I had the year to, obviously, where I would have been traveling a lot. I've had time to spend with my daughter. Even though I am still here, there, up and down, because obviously straight away, once I had my surgery, literally no time later, I was in a rehab center for 5 weeks. So I was only going home on the weekend. So in some instances, you're like, oh, if I was fine, I'd actually be home. But you have to sacrifice a lot, and there's a balance. And I'm really happy with, you know, having to compromise certain aspects of myself. But it's tough when it's across the whole border. But your team around you is what allows you to prosper. And I think that's one of the most important things. If you have, you know, individuals in place that, like I said, my parents, they taught me that you work as a team with the people around you, even if it's within your household. So that's something I try to do with everyone, my coach, my wife, my this, my dad, whoever I'm with. We work as a team to make sure that we get the best out of each other, the process, and how we move forward in that. That's
a really good piece of advice, man.
I feel like we need to then ask the grand finale questions so we don't keep you for too long.
I've got 2 more questions, and I just throw them in there. I've been dying to ask them the whole time.
Go true. I'm not going to hold you back.
Yeah. What does a typical training day look like for you? Like when you're well, say if you're going to Olympics, yeah? Because I've always been fascinated by like what a training routine looks like of a professional sprinter. Like, what does that look like? How often, how much split versus you're in the gym lifting weights, you're on the track? Like, quick, like very briefly, what does that look like? Because I think that's really cool.
The year is broken down into like 3 different stages, let's say. So it's September now. A lot of the athletes are actually on holiday. They take 2 weeks off. So I'm sort of in limbo because I didn't compete. I've got my holiday coming up. So when you're looking at that, so you've got base training. So October all the way through to about December, January, that's your higher volume. You're running slower and it's more conditioning for the body. That's when you've got like, you'll run 10 200s with 2 minutes in between. Bearing in mind, my personal best for a 200 is like 20.4 seconds, but I'll be running these 2s at about 28 seconds or 27 seconds. But that 2 minutes in between, so it's not allowing yourself to recover, conditioning your body. Then same in the gym, more reps. You might be lifting heavier. Once you've gone through that base training, you'll then go into another phase, which is a bit more sort of like speed endurance-y, and you start to strip things, but you're adding speed into the process. So again, recovery in between reps, instead of, let's say, like if I was doing 6 or 7 150s, I'll now do 5 150s, whereas I was doing 3 minutes in between. Now I'll do, 6, 7 minutes in between each. And then you'll have your competition period. So in regards to how you split the week, I'll probably do 3 or 4 running sessions a week. So Monday for me is my acceleration day. So you can probably spend about 2-3 hours doing that. So the warm-up itself is quite taxing. So when you train like me, this is what I'm saying about how to train like Harry Aikines, for example. You just become fairly more anabolic. I'm muscular, so that the energy required for me to, walk there or run there, it's far more taxing on the body, which means I'm going to burn more calories than someone who is smaller than me or someone that just does some form of running. And then once I finish training, what I've lost from that, my body is always recuperating. So I get to eat what I want because even as I sit here, I'm burning hot.
That's one thing people realize, that Michael Phelps was similar, right? So it's like the more muscle you hold, the more fat you burn. So and actually that's the more, so the bigger you get, actually the easier it is to burn fat and stay in shape, because
the metabolic rate is just so much higher. So once I've done that track session, which can take maybe 2 to 3 hours, that's when you're working on blocks. So you wake up 8:30 at the track for 9. That's when I'm in Loughborough training. Warm up half an hour. I don't really like to I don't really like to train on full belly.
You train fasted?
I'll probably have maybe some porridge, something light, or just some egg.
I love the way porridge is light. It's porridge light to you?
Well, I only have, like, if we're talking Quaker oats, I'll have 1 sachet.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not having
not some bodybuilder portion of porridge.
Nah, like them overnight oats where they're sat there shoveling.
Yeah, exactly. That's my vision of oats now. They've ruined it for me.
I'm not like them. So and then I'll get that session done, and then I'll probably go into the gym. But as I train, it's more powerlifting. So you're talking compound movements, power cleans, squats, lunges, step ups. Those sort of movements that are going to help me run fast on the track, explosive movements with plyometrics and jumping. And then Tuesday will just be speed endurance, similar sort of warm up, instead of Excels, we're running a little bit longer. Wednesday will then be gym. Thursday will be like a recovery day where I'm trying to add a little bit of like mobility in my week, maybe go for a run, 10 minutes or something, and then do some mobility. And then Friday will be a track session, and maybe Saturday another endurance session. So that's pretty much
that's a lot, dude.
Minor things.
Yeah, and then the other question I wanted to ask quickly.
It's 2-3 hours of your day every day, and obviously you only have so many hours. So the balance of trying to get that in with obviously, you know,
baby
social stuff in.
Everything
so I've
else.
got like quite a good routine and engine going with how I get things done, which has been quite helpful.
Smashing it.
I just wanted to ask that because I think like people probably think that you're going there and trying to run all out
running
day.
up and down just for hours.
You'll be injured straight away, right? If you're running like at full intensity every day. And I know we haven't got that much time. So like the other question I wanted to ask is about, we mentioned financially, you see a lot of people see the glamour and everything, but I've read some articles in the past that like 80% of athletes are broke.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to touch upon that a second because I saw that during the last Olympics about many of them like working 5 jobs just to get to the Olympics and, you know, all these things. So what advice would you give to other people out there?
Is not a professional sport. So like I've got one mate who was training for the Olympics, lockdown hit, and then he's delivering, like he was doing Amazon deliveries, you know. He put up a picture, actually, went viral, was quite good. He was like, this year really went from the road to Tokyo to turn left at the end of the road. So and then Gymshark got involved in getting sorted him out some pee. But I was quite fortunate enough to be in a position where I started earning from my sport quite early. But the majority of Olympians, like you said, they're either, you know, they might even be students, they might even be just working a job. Jessie Knight, she's a teacher. Some people is getting those contracts, and then even then they don't last forever. And you know, it's not a professional sport like cricket, rugby, where they have internal contracts. The sport goes on without you. You know, I remember when David Beckham hurt his metatarsal, it was on, you know, it was on countdown to the game, and everyone was just checking out his toe to make sure it was all right for the game. The sport goes on without you. I was injured this year. I wasn't able to go. They still fielded the relay team. They still got a medal. They still did whatever without me. That's going to be the case. So it's difficult. People always talk about having a backup plan. That's why it's good to study, to have something in the background. But I think, like I said, you've got to build a brand and give yourself an opportunity to earn outside of the sport, or give yourself an opportunity for these brands to see you much earlier. But unfortunately, until we can get more people sat watching our sport in regards to athletics, because it's all the same. People train to get on funding. So I was actually taken off funding back in 2017. They were a bit ageist, I think, in that perspective, but I'm still part of the team. So that meant my governing body was no longer paying me, but that gave me a kick up the bum to then make a point of doing things elsewhere. I had a contract, like I said, with New Balance and whatever else, but these are different earning avenues. Like you said, you earn money on the circuit, you earn money through your sponsors, and you can earn money via your governing body. But, you know, luckily we're in a generation where you're able to maximize yourself in that way. So it's just about doing what you can do to see past it. Unfortunately, a lot of people are clouded in saying that when they have a good performance, it's going to pop. But you know, we live in a generation where people stream their own TV. No one says they're going to sit down at this time to watch TV unless it's a sporting event. So for you to have that one moment on TV, like our British Olympic trials weren't even on the BBC this year, which is massive. That's when people would watch you and go, oh, I'm going to support that person going into the Olympics.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
that wasn't even there. So you're missing out opportunities because people in all forms of places are getting stingy or getting tight. Someone else wants more money and they're not thinking about you as an athlete. They're thinking about, you know, their governing body, or they're thinking about their business, you know, the BBC versus British Athletics. That's got, you know, what about all these athletes that could have had an opportunity for people to have seen their moment, but then they go to the Olympics, which is a bigger moment, but they get knocked out in the semi-final, but you wouldn't have seen them win the British Championships and crying because they've made the Olympics. Like that would have been a moment that would have gone viral for them. But so you've got to think about yourself and put your own sort of, just tell your story. Never stop telling your story in the way that you want to tell it, whether it be good, be bad. Just make sure that you're telling your story. That's the advice that I'd pass on, because it's going to relate to someone and help someone somewhere.
Amazing, man. And I'll let Hannah wrap it up. I just wanted to
finish up, what advice would you give our listeners to maximize their wellness?
Give yourself reason to smile every day. Take control of your own narrative. Don't allow yourself to feel vulnerable. Don't allow yourself to feel weak. You're a powerful person. You can, as well as thinking positively, and it doesn't come easy to everyone, but you can allow yourself to smile. You can give yourself time to smile. You can do anything that it is, and it doesn't have to be something as grand as, houses, cars, or something financially based, or a relationship, or it can just be something as little as doing something you enjoy, seeing someone you enjoy, being around people you enjoy, making a point of messaging someone if you haven't heard from them in a while. Just do something that can kickstart a process that gives you not purpose, but allows you to have the opportunity to be happy.
Yeah, love that,
dude.
So Harry, can you let everyone know your socials, where they can find you?
I'm on Instagram. It's Aikines, Aikines. I'm on TikTok, Aikines. I'm on YouTube, Aikines. I'm about.
And your business page, Train with Harry AA?
Yeah, Train Like Harry AA.
Train Like Harry, sorry, my bad.
On the Insta, you'll see it, it's there.
Amazing.
Bam.
Well, thanks for joining us, man.
That was a good one. Thank you so much.